But another one who did talk to us, Bill Chumley, a state rep, he is against taking down this flag. He makes no bones about it. We did ask him all about that. But I want you to listen to what else he said. He said this flag should stay where it was put 15 years ago as a compromise. And then in this interview, he said something very strange about the victims of the Charleston shooting. Listen to this, Anderson. You are opposed to open up debate, is that right, on the flag?
I think this has been settled.
Settled in terms of 15 years ago?
Yes.
And you don't think the state has moved from 15 years ago to now in terms of demographics and feeling of the state?
No, I don't think so. I think that misuse and the miseducation of the flag has probably pushed it to this point. But I think the demographics are still a change. My constituents are calling and talking to me a lot about it, and that's the way they feel.
But if hate groups have misused the flag, and if hate groups have adopted it as its own, and hate groups are certainly creating divisive issue over this, why continue to fly it here at the state capitol grounds?
Let me ask you a question. Why do we let hate groups dictate how we feel and how we live? Hate groups are everywhere. People are, they're mean people everywhere. We found that out in Charleston. We're focusing on the wrong thing here. We need to be focusing on the 9 families that are left and see that this doesn't happen again. These people sat in there and waited their turn to be shot. That's sad. And somebody in there with a means of self-defense could have stopped this, and we'd have had less funerals than we're having.
You're turning this into a gun debate? If those 9 families asked you to take down that flag, would you do it?
You said guns. Why didn't somebody just do something? You know, I mean, why? I mean, you've got one skinny person shooting a gun. You know, I mean, we need to take and do what we can. But no, that's.
Well, I mean, I want to make sure I understand what you're telling me. Are you asking that these people should have tackled him? These women should have fought him? That
I don't know what the answer was, but I know it's really, really horrible for 9 people to be shot, and I understand that he reloaded his gun during the process. That's upsetting. Very upsetting.
Those 9 families and every black person in South Carolina and all the people, the white people who are against that flag, believe it shouldn't be on the state grounds. You are saying it should stay because your constituents want it to?
It stays there until the people of South Carolina say it should come down. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So, I mean, it's hard to understand exactly what he was saying. I guess what he was talking about is gun control in the Second Amendment, saying somebody in that church should have been armed, or when he was reloading, somebody should have rushed the shooter?
Yeah, it was hard to get clarity from this guy or follow his logic, but to me, it seemed to be he was at least criticizing the victims for not fighting back during that attack.